Greetings, this is Tony Wicks coming to you with another installment of Work From Home. I want to transition from the work from home theme, not leaving the work from home theme, but transitioning more into the model of distribution. Now, I wanted to point out some very interesting information that I saw, and this actually is part of a database of questions or study material for the Texas Loan Officers Licensing Test. And I want to show you this because this is very, very telling about how the IRS in particular, but the government more generically views employees. And I just want you to look at the language around this definition. Okay? So here we go. So here we have a graphic, and it does say that an employee is an individual whose. Now we're going to go into the definition. I hope I can go to the next screen. Check this out. An employee is an individual whose manner and means of performance of work are subject to the right of control of a person. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, compensation for federal income tax purposes, okay, is reported on a W-2 form. Listen closely. A W-2 form issued by the controlling person. What does the controlling person control? They control the manner and the means of performance of work of the employee. And when I read this language, it was very eerie to me because I started thinking about it. I may have talked about this on a previous video. You know what? I edited it from a previous video. But I made a comparison, and I talked about how in the Old Testament of the Bible there were two groups of people. There were land owners, and there were slaves. And over time, there was of course, there's a transition. And I don't want to get into the weeds about slavery being abolished because we know in some places it does exist in its original form. It does exist in several places on the planet, okay? But there was a transition that was made from landowners and slaves, and these slave owners had to find a means where they could legally leverage the efforts of other people. And so what we saw was plantations go by the wayside and become replaced with corporations where a person could go in and exchange their time and their labor for money. But all of the ownership, all of the residual income, all of the inheritance, unless you're a stockholder, goes to the owner of the company and the owner's children and the owner's children's children. So let's compare that to a passage that states that a wise man provides an inheritance for his children's children. Now, does that mean that all owners are wise business owners? Of course not. Evil exists in every sector of our economy. But it's important to note that a wise man those characteristics are attributed to a person who thinks beyond their immediate need, paying their light bill, making sure there's food on the table. They're thinking about how could I position myself to be a help to a neighbor, to a relative, to my children's children. That vision is long term and is beyond the needs of the individual when you look at a business. So, a person who simply wants to meet their needs, pay their bills, they may not have a need for $10 million, but a business owner may want to buy or pay for setting up a hospital, setting up an apartment complex, taking care of their parents, taking care of someone else's needs. That is the reason why it is imperative that you prosper so that you can be a solution for someone besides yourself. When that does not happen, it creates dependency, and people start not looking within themselves, but they start looking without to their neighbor or the government or some other entity to meet their needs. There's nothing wrong with having a need, but there is something wrong with the first response being a solution outside of ourselves, because there are vehicles that can allow you to economically empower yourself. So again, if you are looking to learn about how money works, if you're looking to obtain licensing so that you can be your own money manager or be a money manager for those that you love and care about, or better yet, becoming licensed and training an army of money managers that can go out and empower themselves and their loved ones, and you can create an income through their efforts, not on their backs. You create wealth with business partners, but you create wealth on the backs of those if they are merely your employees. How do we know that? Well, we just read the definition. So I hope that this was eye-opening for you, and I'm going to record another video probably very shortly and just drop it right after this one, because I want to talk more about perception, self-perception, and I'm going to share a concept that I received from a very close friend of mine who unfortunately is no longer alive, but he passed so many jewels on to me, and I'm going to pass this next one on to you. So anyway, guys, you know what I'm going to end with. Like the video, subscribe, comment, share it. But most importantly, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, reach out to me. All of my contact information is in the description. If you're in any of the 50 states in the United States, or in Canada, or in Puerto Rico, we can work together. I hope you